present is around Internet of Things, around smart cities. And another thing I wanted to sort of share with you is there's the Smart African Alliance. We are part of that. And the theme around that is about One Africa Network, which we feel really strongly about. And recently there has been a formation of an African Internet of Things workshop, and the work group that's working on a paper that will be submitted at the international level for December. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the company that I represent, Dimension Data. As I told the audience yesterday, a global company created in South Africa with 26,000 employees. Again, it is a great African story. We're part of that. We have other subsidiaries called Bright House, that's software that speaks to this, Smarter Africa. And we also have infrastructure providers as well as the main part of Dimension Data, which is an integrated solution company. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So the theme really is about accelerating digital business. We do focus on the enterprise. I think those are the low-hanging fruits as far as we're concerned. It's not that we don't push the consumer products, but mainly a lot of our products are focused on solving business solutions. So we believe in accelerating the business and the digital transformation, and the themes that are to do with connectivity and cloud and Internet of Things. Next slide, please.
There is next slide, and can you send the clicker down? There is clicker. Can you send the clicker down, please? Thanks.
Thank you. So yeah, Internet of Things is about really IP being associated, especially IPv6, being associated with every single device or sensors, and I think that's the next theme to make Africa smart. I won't go through the definition, but that's just there for you as a reference point. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we really believe in a framework, a model, a bit like the OSI model of yesteryears, that has really sort of kept a design that can give some reference to where we play. So from layers 1 to 7 is where we play. A lot of the lower layers are to do with the devices themselves, as you see. Thank you. So the lower layers obviously represent some of the physical devices that are currently available, and the one and the theme that I will be looking at is the smarter homes. And as you go up the higher layers, you see that software plays a real strong part, and one of the areas that we see that creates this collaborative cloud is big data and the analytics that centers around that, and you see that at a higher level. Next slide, please. Okay, I've got control. Next slide.
Next slide.
Thank you. Yeah, you might as well control it. This doesn't work.
Take another clicker on your battery, please. Thanks.
So, having answered why we want to do this, you might as well control it. What we want to do and where we want to do it. The final question left is to answer is how. At the value of IT in making things communicate with each other, it's important that we leverage the industry standard architectures to collaborate instead of using our own. So this is what you see on this slide. The IoT World Forum has been kind enough to produce a reference architecture. Again, I've gone through some of the layers in the previous slide. But if we just focus on some of the application layers, we see that cloud plays to that, and it gives a level of being to address whether it's a private cloud, a hybrid, or a public cloud. We play in a hybrid cloud, so there's a level of abstraction that's needed, and where we see some of the challenges is really trying to identify those applications that are low-hanging in Africa, because there's still a lack of infrastructure at the lower layers. we've seen some test and development products that speaks to smarter cities. So here, obviously, having green, intelligent buildings is one area that we feel that speaks to Internet of Things, and typically in being sustainable and intelligent, really we see that interacting in a converged real estate that can be measurable for certain benefits, whilst data in Africa is still very rare on this. We've seen that recent studies in the US, especially to do around Kaba, have completed areas that really speaks to return on investments, the life cycle costs, and impact on image and CSR. But in order to achieve these improvements, the technologies for building convergence still need to be examined for their impact on building operation, and especially occupant value. So return on investment, operations and management, and life cycle costs, and comfort and productivity are real key areas in that respect. So in terms of, as I said, hybrid cloud is the space we play in. There's other themes and areas that we see that will make up a smart city, and obviously I spoke about cybersecurity yesterday. That's a layer that's really important to ensuring that all the data, especially the data that makes up that smarter city, is actually protected, and we see that some of these specific elements that make up the ecosystem are important to also discuss. So there's different digital infrastructure, hybrid cloud, and obviously workspace and cybersecurity as well. Next slide.
Next slide. I think there's something wrong with the clicker. Yeah. There is. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So on the smarter workplace, we have obviously occupancy sensing and reporting. Also hot desk booking, not just meeting rooms, intelligent real-time data analysis that can be used to make decisions where real estate savings can be made. We've also identified how teams can work and type desks and the space that's required. And obviously big data plays an important part of the Internet of Everything. Next slide, please.
Next slide. Next slide. Page down. Next slide, please.
Yeah, this slide actually depicts a smart building with the IP platforms that we actually have put in as examples of devices that will be used in a typical smart building. Next slide, please. Yeah, as you can see, there's a proliferation of technology that makes up the smart buildings, which obviously is immersed heavily into IT. I mean, one of the interesting statistics was that by 2010 there'll be 14 billion. What we've seen right now is that there's much more than that. My dear friend spoke about a huge amount of smartphones coming to the country. We estimate about 50 billion devices by 2020, so I think that's somewhat an underestimate. So we have a huge amount of work that needs to be done around IPv6 to ensure that the billions of devices are easily connected into the IT Internet of Things inside the building. Next slide. So yeah, we are system integrators, as I said, and we see that there will be master system integrators that speaks to some of the layers that are there here, and it's really just shows you the depth and the potentials for actually contributing to Internet of Things and also generating a smart city. Next, if you press it again, then there's another slide that will come up. Thank you. Again. Again. And finally. So those are the areas of focus. And we've also generated APIs that speaks to one layer to the next. So that gives you sort of an emphasis on the sort of areas that we are dealing with in terms of OPEX, and also areas that we deal in terms of CAPEX as well. So what are the challenges that we see? I mean, a lot of it's to do with the business, and some of the areas, as I've highlighted, to do with security, the regulatory aspects as well, and also just getting the buy-in from corporates that we meet to make sure that there is an ecosystem that's built to be able to deliver on the Internet of Things. Next slide, please. So yeah, we live in a mobile world, and it's centered around data. And what we see as well, there's a life cycle of data. There's data that's generated, and obviously that data can be mined. It can produce analytics, behaviors, but also putting that data in an environment that can work and interact with a smart building. It's really important that we synchronize. So we see that a lot of work has still to be done to actually interact these devices with other devices that makes up the whole ecosystem. Next slide. Again, finally, there's always challenges, but obviously these are the areas that we are focusing on in terms of ensuring that this is successful. Last slide of this. Thank you.
First, please, for Mr. Yuna, and we have time for a couple of quick questions. My first question to you would be, in all your scenarios for example, smart city, which are the ones which are most likely to take off in the next few years? Would it be transportation? Would it be energy, utilities, other utilities, for example? Any speculation over that?
What we've done is really focus on smart buildings. I think that came out from the Cisco study that was performed back in 1999. I think that the first test was an IP address on a refrigerator, and that actually sort of gave an indication of level of inventory. So a person knew when they needed to restock up their fridges. So I think that's really progressed on from there to other areas to do with green, the emissions that come out of buildings, and also power. So we see that the bedrock, especially in Africa, will be either the application of smart cities and Internet of Things in the area of power utilization, and also smart, also buildings. Transportation is an interesting one. We've seen some projects from Google, and I think Facebook are looking at driverless cars.
Any other questions for our speaker? Yeah.
To ask you, I mean, these smart cities are mostly, we see examples from the developed world, you know, in other places. However, no, over 50% of the population live in urban areas, in infrastructures and so on. So what solution you can provide them in larger cities with millions of population there?
You're right. I think a lot of the emphasis has been on the developed world. What I can say is that what I've shown you examples produced in South Africa. We've actually tested that, and that's in Africa. And I believe that obviously if we solve out the one network, I think, you know, and we solve out our connectivity issues, there's no reason why we can't accelerate and leverage those things that have been tested in those developed worlds quickly in Africa.
Any other questions? If not, a round of applause please for Olu Teniola from Dimension Data.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And our next speaker is Lamin. Let me ask Lamin to please come up on stage. Lamin Kamara is from ACE, his consortium. Can we get the presentation from Lamin up on the stage, please? And Lamin, will you please come up? And a round of applause please for Lamin Kamara. Some of you have heard when he speak yesterday in the panel discussion. We're going to have a keynote from him. So Lamin, do you want your video first or the presentation first?
Yes,
the video. Please the video first, Dennis. The video of ACE, Lamin.
Subcommittee, who is in charge of all marketing and communication aspects of ACE Consortium. I'll be presenting on the ACE Consortium and the infrastructure development we're doing in Africa. As you know, we talk about smart cities and all that. You cannot have that without the underlying infrastructure. And this is what ACE is determined to bring. As you see at the end of the film, just telling you what we believe about Africa's promise. And I think Dimension Data have a promise, which we want to also support to make sure it is delivered by putting in place the right infrastructure, the bandwidth that is required. Because some of these solutions demand bandwidth. And this is why ACE is going into even upgrading of their system, you know, to 100 gig and to triple our capacity in anticipation of the bandwidth needs of the African continent and the world at large. You can go ahead with the
next slide.
Slide,
yes.
please.
Can you set something to fix the clicker also? Thanks.
Yeah, I think already some of these things have been mentioned in the presentation, in the film before the video. It's a 17,000 kilometer long cable from France to South Africa, and we are upgrading to a 100 gig technology. It was 40 gig before when we started, when we got it operational in 2012, and now we are upgrading to the 100 gig technology. And we've also tested 200 gig already on the ACE cable, which was a success. So eventually we will upgrade it to 200 gig technology to increase our bandwidth. Connecting 24 countries. We have already connected 18. The rest, the 6, will come on by the first quarter of next year, 2017. DRC, Cameroon, and others. As you can see, we did not also forget about the landlocked countries we have, because we believe they should be connected. And this is why Niger and Mali have been connected. For the first time.